ways to learn best is by is by asking questions, because that's the best way to learn. Like I said, everything that I'm saying is only a guide, but if you have questions, then I can throw more light on whatever it is that you don't understand. So while I wait for the questions, and I'm hoping that there are lots of questions, while I wait, I'll just fill in the gaps on some of the things that I said, or some of the things I think that you need to know regarding creating a content calendar. We've covered the content pillars, we've covered the content models. I've given us a few examples. So when it now comes to creating the content calendar, um one thing we need to know is, depending on the brand that you're working with, a lot of times brands request for monthly calendars. So you need to start, and once you start week by week, that's a simple way. Once you have this set, the foundation that we have laid this morning, once you have those in place, your content calendar is already done. Your content calendar is like 80% done. Once you have those things, all you need to do is fill in. So for this week, uh uh tips, this da 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 da. Once you have those as your content pillar set, you have your content model set, your copy, your content in itself is already done. You now need to work on the captions and the hashtags that you're going to use for the posts, and that's it. You're done. So start week by week. Once you have week one done, week two, week three, week four is easy. But the things I've shared with us, those are the foundations to have your content calendar set and ready. And then the creating of the content, I like to hope that it will not still be up to the social media manager. In fact, I would even say it. Let me even say it. If you have a job, or if you get a job as a social media manager where you're required to write the content, manage the platforms. Let's say you're managing all platforms, because a lot of times that's what they request from social media managers. You're managing Twitter, you're managing Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Um, what else? Which other one? I've mentioned the main ones, and then TikTok. If you're asked to manage all those, and you're also expected to write the content and uh create the content, that's not a social media manager job. Oh. I'm just saying, so that we know. You're a content creator, content writer, community manager. That's not a social media manager job. So I'm just letting us know. So before you accept that, you know what it entails and what's involved. So a lot of times those kind of jobs will stress you out, except the pay is good enough, depending on what good enough is to you. Um, what else do we need to know? Then after you have created your content, this is just a plus. There would be a need to uh schedule those contents in batch, but I don't think that that's part of uh I don't think that's part of our session for this morning. So yeah, we've also covered the days. I give an example about, say for example, you're posting for a brand every day, Monday to Saturday or Monday to Sunday. That's not in as much as that is doable, it's possible, but it's not realistic, or I wouldn't advise a social media manager to take that on. Okay, I can see a question from Shirima. Are there specific content formats that are suitable? Hold on. Okay, Ugochi already asked the question. I didn't see that. Are there specific content formats that are suitable for specific brands, or should they be varied? Okay, Ugochi, I'll come to your question. Let me just answer this one from Chidima. Um, the content formats are simple. They remain the same for every brand, right? I said they're also known as content types. So they could be videos, they could be um static posts, they could be carousels. These are the types. They could also be texts, depending on the platform. So let's just say for the example that I showed you, for the content calendar that I showed you, that was mostly for Instagram and Facebook. Although those copy can still go, the copy or the caption can still go on Twitter, right? If let's say, for example, the copy is designed as a graphics, you can still post it on Twitter, you can still post it on LinkedIn. So the content formats remain the same. It's now up to you to decide this particular post that I'm writing, how should it be? Like, what's the best way to present it? Will it be best as a poster, which is a static post? Will it be best as a carousel? That means you have to break it down into multiple slides, or will it be best as a video? And as it is now, as it stands now, video content is the best form of content because everybody prefers to watch video. People don't like to read, except it's really catchy. All right. So yeah, the content formats should be varied. Yes. I don't know if I've answered your question or if I missed the point. Chidima.
You have.
Okay.
But
So let
what
me
I
just
got from what
also,
you said is
okay, sorry. Yeah, Chidima, go on.
okay. What I got from what you said is it dependent on the platform, right? Like for Instagram, it has to be videos. For Twitter, you do more writing, text, and all of that, right? So it depended on the platform. Is that it?
Yes, it's dependent on the platform. On Twitter, you can still post videos on Twitter, actually. So as
Mm.
a way to help you, because I'm speaking to you as a social media manager, not to a brand. For you, one thing I would say is to propose your content into the different platforms. Like, let's say you've written your calendar is ready and you've made a video. Still post it on Twitter, still post it on LinkedIn, still post it on Instagram, post it on Facebook, post it across boards. Because if you want to start creating different things, you can still do that, but it will save you more time if for every content that you have written, you post it across boards, depending on your agreement with the brand that you're working with. So always post across boards. Then later you can now start doing, for example, for one of the brands that I work with, I usually write a tweet, a list of tweets. I usually have a tweet sheet, a separate sheet for my tweets. So whatever it is I think of regard for that brand, I can throw it into that sheet. And it's just a list of long tweets. So for that, at any time of the day, the social media manager can now take the tweet because I write the content. The social media manager can now take the tweet and post. But still, the main content calendar still goes on Twitter. I don't know. Adugo, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. So I think that what she's probably asking is that for let's say moped, or like when you're doing, so let's say you have moped, you have Desperados beer, you have Life, and you're wondering, oh, is there like a specific content format that I should use for any specific type of brand? But Mercy is trying to explain that first you can cross post. So you create a video, you don't have to restrict yourself to say I'm just posting it on Instagram, right? You can post it on Instagram, you can post it on YouTube, you can post it on Twitter, and like all of those platforms. Like there's really no box. If I'm getting what Mercy is saying accurately. So like there's really no restriction to say, oh, post it only on this platform or post only on that platform. So that's what I think that Mercy is trying to drive home. Okay. But although you can still want to be creating specific contents for specific platforms, but that can also be very, very exhausting. What I usually advise is that you should know the key platform or platforms that the brand you're posting on uses, or the ones that are working best for that brand. Then you create for those platforms and then cross-post every other place. Message, you get what I'm saying? So like,
Yes, exactly.
so like for Vicky James now, Instagram is her forte. Do you get? So, but if she's posting, if she has a Twitter account and she has like a Facebook page, she doesn't need to be creating, oh, this is what I'm posting specifically for Facebook. But like she has created it for Instagram and she will still now cross-post it across, Facebook and Twitter. All she might need to do for Twitter is to like shorten it, in a way that it will still fit the Twitter audience, which is a lot more different than, Instagram and Facebook audiences. So that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know if I did a good job in like piecing that down for you, Chidima.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you got that, Chidima. So I'll just throw in, because you mentioned Aproko Doctor, let me just reference him. Aproko Doctor posts on Instagram. He posts on Twitter. I don't know about Facebook because I'm usually not on Facebook. But you find that when he posts a video and on Instagram, you still find that same video on Twitter and on TikTok as well. So that's it. And yes, you asked if they should be varied. Yes, they should be varied. If you still look at the same Aproko Doctor, you find that he writes short form texts for Twitter. He writes. He also posts carousels. He posts videos. He posts static posts. He also makes static posts. So yeah, he does the different formats. So yes, they should be varied. For any brand, they should be varied. Like I said, video now is like is the best content type. But still, there should be a mix. So over to Gochi's question. Gochi asked, my question is on the models. How will one know the exact model that will be suitable for a brand? Um, and that will be your discretion as a social media manager. Like I said, there are different, and I would like for us really to go back and do a proper research on the different types of content models, because you see a good number. The easiest or the best, I don't say that's the best, but the easiest content model is the 3 E's, which is the one that I've mentioned again and again: educational, entertaining, and engaging. Those three would usually work for any brand. That's why is the, I don't call it easiest, it's the safest, because it would work for any brand. It works across board, no matter what the brand is, whether it's a government brand or whatever, it works, right? So, but then you as a social media manager, you would know, if you go in depth into the different types of content models, you would then know the particular model that you can use for any brand that you're working on. I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, it's clear. I got that.
Yes. Yes. So as a beginner, I would say stick with 3 E's. Stick with 3 E's. It covers everything that anybody would need to know about the brand that you're working on. Stick with the 3 E's. People always want to see something entertaining. They want to see something engaging. They want to see something educational. So stick with the 3 E's. There is the one I mentioned, which is the dragon. That is more in depth. So let me give you a breakdown of what the model entails. It's dialogue. I hope I remember. It's dialogue. It's an acronym. The dragon is an acronym. D stands for dialogue. R, relatability. A, authenticity. G, give value. O, opinion, and N, niche. It works better for people who are it works better for personal brands, I would say. So if for now you're only working on creating, or if you're only working on content for brands or business brands, or if it's not a personal brand for an influencer or something, or a celebrity or something, then you can just leave that and stick with the 3 E's. So yeah, I'm expecting more questions. So Any more questions? If not, we can call it a wrap.
So guys, do we have any further questions, maybe um on the content calendar? So okay, while we are thinking of our questions, I think that another important thing for you to incorporate in your content calendar is special dates, like International Days of the Girl Child, Valentine's Day, Christmas, so
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, that's very important,
Mm-hmm.
actually. I've missed that because, in fact, for this year, I've already sent in it's the social media calendar. That's what we call it, or that's what I call it. Social media calendar that contains special dates. So for this year, I already have in a document the list of all the important dates, and then they are now highlighted for the different brands that I work for, the ones that
Yeah.
fit in for the different brands that I work for. And you have to, because it's your time. Those special dates are your time to shine as a brand, or yeah, it's your time to do something special as a brand. So they should not be missed. Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up. It's very important.
Yeah. So we have another question here. Gochi is asking, can Google Docs be used to create a content calendar or social media calendar, whatever you want to call it? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Google Doc can be used so long as you still create tables in the Google Doc. It's the same thing. You can still move spreadsheets into Google Doc. It's the same thing. Not the same thing, anyways, but yes, Google Doc can be used. But not, I hope it's not going to be Google Doc, what's it called? Where the calendar will be text heavy, if that makes sense. Like it has to be organized in a way that anybody who sees it will understand exactly what's going on in the calendar.
Yeah.
Do you
So
get that?
yeah, I recommend though that everybody who is doing like a content calendar should just stick with Google Sheets, because I mean Google Docs can be used, but like you said, you still have to create tables or import sheets to Docs so that it can have a good um what's it called now, display, like you're saying. So but like my own recommendation would just be that, you know stick to Sheets, because Sheets is much more already organized, and you can even pull in dates with Sheets and all of that. So there's another question here for you, Messi. The product tips you mentioned, Chidima is asking, do you have to keep coming up? Do they have to keep coming up even if the brand has already gained popularity? Did you get that message?
The answer is
Okay.
yes. Yes, I did. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So no matter how popular a brand is, you still have to let your audience see the value that your product is going to be giving to them. And if you're the person writing the content as a social media manager, yes, you have to bring that up. The brand that I'm currently working on, a product I'm currently working on content for, Mame Foods. Um, it has been the request of the founders of that product that we don't talk so much about the product in itself, which is, I think I tried to mention this during the meeting proper, but I said that that's a conversation for another day. Because there are ways to create content, but this is about creating content. There are ways to create content where you tell about the product without actually mentioning the product again and again. Right. So yes, I understand your question, and it's a very intelligent question, because a time comes when you don't want to center your entire social media content talking about the product. There should be more, right? But you still have to cleverly let the people know that this is what your product does, even if maybe it's not centered around the product, but you still have to let people know. Product tips will forever be necessary for a brand that sells a product. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mercy, for that. Another interesting thing is that sometimes, product tips also helps you to introduce new features that maybe the company, puts in for their product. So even though, or maybe announce something that is coming up. So no matter how long we have been using Spotify, every time that is Spotify's Wrapped season, Spotify will still tell us, oh, Wrapped is out, and like why you should check out your Wrapped and stuff like that. Another good way to do product tips is that, as your brand now grows and they've gained popularity, you can now start using a lot of user-generated content to do the product tips. So let's say you're selling, it's a brand like Vicky James that is showing fashion or whatever. So let's say they have a skirt or a top. You can then show 5 ways that Omotola Jalede wore this skirt, or 10 ways that you can style the skirt, and you're showing different people who have used this, who are wearing the skirt and like stuff like that. So it's always going to be necessary, because again, you're going to be having new users. So when the new users come, they'll also find that content valuable. All right. So thank you so much, Mercy. I don't know if there's any more question. If there is, we'll take one more if there is. Otherwise, we will just call it a morning. Any other question? Okay, Mercy, is there anything you want to say as we tie up this session?
So in case someone is asking but has not actually asked, maybe you may like to know, like, how can you get your content ideas? Because like I said in the beginning, one of the skills that you need to be successful as a social media manager is the research skills. But you may need to also know specific areas where you need to go to get ideas, because I think that's a question that people who write content or people who are social media managers usually struggle with. So I would say one way is to know what the audience, what they care about. I think there's a session here where we talk about knowing the audience, right? To know what they care about. When you know what the audience are looking to see, you can know what you can create for them, right? Because yeah, you still create your pillars and models around those things. But yeah, know what they want to see, know their questions, know what they're struggling with, know what they're about, know what makes them happy. So with that, you can know the kind of content to incorporate into the content calendar. Another way is to look at what your competitor is doing. Depending on the brand that you're working with, you want to know what other brands, what similar brands are doing. And yeah, not copy them exactly, but those can guide you on the kind of ideas that you can incorporate into your content calendar. Another way is to use trends. Check what is trending. For example, platforms like TikTok now, they're incorporating a lot of SEO into their content, where they can show you what people want to see, things like that. Yes, so use those tools to find out what is trending and what questions you need to answer for the brand that you're currently working on. And that helps, because it also helps your content to come up, to be seen more. If you talk about what is trending or what people want to see, it helps your content too. And yeah, and then you can also repurpose the content that you have made before. So as a social media manager, you will be doing a lot of repurposing, because the time comes when those ideas may not be there. They are really, creative block is a real thing, right? So you can make, for example, you made a content as a video before. You can take that same content, that same topic, that same text, after maybe in the next month, if that content was so good, you can make it into a carousel, break it down, put it in writing. Or it was a carousel before, you can make it into a video, or you can make it into an infographics and it will be a static post. Or you can invite people to come and talk about that same thing that did well, something like that. So these are different ways that you can generate content, I guess. I was actually looking out for that question. So, and since nobody asked, yeah. So that's it. That's my additional tip.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so
everyone.
much, Mercy. I totally enjoyed this session, and I'm sure that everybody did. I'm so grateful for your time, and given that I know that this is a sacrifice for you, I am really grateful. Thank you so much, everyone who joined. Mercy, Ugochi, Chidima, and those that were coming in and out. So I should actually stop recording.